Okay, so today we're going to talk about immediate gratification and delaying gratification, the whole idea of it. So, immediate gratification causes impulsive behaviors. So, if you don't know, immediate gratification is when you give up the future reward in order to have something now, to attain something in current state. It has a correlation with your perception of yourself, because if you feel like you cannot control your impulsive behaviors, it contributes to disorders such as obesity and different types of addictions. But basically, a lot of the times it starts off consciously and then it goes into a subconscious state where you just do it because, again, it develops into addiction. So you would have to balance the reward and the risks of the behaviors and how they correlate into the future. So control, self-regulation, and self-control. And I'm going to discuss this later in the video and how you can do that. But let me tell you about an interesting study that maybe will give you an idea of how our minds work. So it's called a marshmallow test by Walter Mischel. So basically, in the experiment, the children had to choose between a larger treat and a smaller treat. And so for example, the larger treat was 2 cookies and a marshmallow. The smaller one was 1 cookie and 1 marshmallow. So after stating the preferences, the kids were stating the preferences for the larger treat. They acknowledged it. In order to obtain the larger treat, the child would have to wait in the experimentation room and had to wait for the experimenter in order to come. So basically, in order to obtain the larger treat, they would have to wait and persevere whilst the smaller treat was right in front of them. But basically, the larger treat requires waiting. That's what you have to know. So it was proven that a lot of the times children did pick the smaller one, something that was right in front of them, but did not wait for the larger treat. Basically, this has proven in demonstrating the importance of the ability to delay gratification and in identifying strategies that make it possible for children to delay gratification. It was shown that children who were best able to wait in that situation and when they were 4 years old are more socially and academically successful as high school students and earn higher SAT scores. The situation for adolescents and teens were stating that people who did take the treat immediately were more social and were more prone to drug and cigarette abuse, and people who did wait had higher grades, had less problems in school and behaviors, were better at controlling themselves and everything, and were just overall more successful. And the whole idea of success is a whole different topic because people define success in their own terms, financially and career-wise. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that our gratification, not system, but the way our minds work has an effect with the dopamine that we experience. So if you don't know, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is involved in the external functions in the brain, including motivations and rewards and learning and the capability that we acknowledge something. So when we experience something pleasurable, so for example eating a cookie, then our dopamine is a hormone. It's released in our brain and it signals that we like it, and it gives us a rewarding sensation and it reinforces us to do it again. It was found, so here's another study, I don't know if you're interested, but there was a study done on mice where there were 3 categories. There was one where they always had the same reward when they pressed the button. So when they pressed the button, they would have food that came in. Then there was a group where when they pressed the button, nothing came. And then there was a group of mice where when they pressed the button, sometimes food would come and sometimes food would just not come. And they found that mice in the 3rd category, so where they had unexpected outings of food, were the most obsessed and the ones that were constantly pressing on the button and seeing what would happen. So this has a correlation with the dopamine system. So our brain is wired to like unexpected events more. So when we win the lottery, the feeling before winning is where the feeling where dopamine is released. It's the one that gives us a reward. So this is a scenario I think everyone can imagine. When you're going to an airport, before you go to the airport, you're really excited, but once you get there, it's really thing that's that crazy. So yeah, dopamine is really important in shaping our behaviors and seeing. So you would have to kind of sit down with yourself and realize what you're indulging in, which affects you negatively. So now let me get into the part where what you can do to delay gratification, because with every single small thing you do, and it starts off small, with every single small thing that you do turns into a bigger, and it rewires our brains subconsciously to a state where you don't even understand. It rewires our thinking. So for example, if you know that you have to get out of bed and your options are to snooze or to go and wake up, and most of the time people just end up hitting snooze, and that is immediate gratification. So what you would have to do is that small step, it doesn't seem that big, you would just have to go, you would just have to get out of bed. So visualize what you're giving up by indulging in the immediate gratification, and see the root of the behavior and avoid it. So for example, if you eat because you're bored, and the root is that you're bored, not because that's the eating the food is just the result. So what you would have to do is find an activity to go do. Go bike, go to the beach, go walk, go study. There's so many things that we could constantly be doing, and the idea that, oh, I don't have the time, or I can't be asked, is just not good enough. So be aware that a lot of the times we are living by automatic actions, and we kind of, which seems crazy, but a lot of times we do habits that we don't even realize because they've been so ingrained in our system. A lot of the times we forget to be conscious, and that sounds quite crazy, but it's like, I recently just realized that I just do what I have to do without really thinking about why, like why am I doing it? So I'd have to remind myself into the reasons why, and not overthink it to a state where I go crazy, but overthink it to kind of challenge myself and what I think. So anyway guys, enough talking, bye, and hopefully you enjoyed something. And yeah, I'm currently in a new apartment, and that's probably why the new setting. Bye guys.